cd d colon slash folder name. Okay, I'm pasting it in the chat also for you all, so that everyone can make use of it. Okay, and then you just hit enter. Okay, once you put this, no, guys, you can just watch it for now. Okay, because if you do it side by side, right, sometimes you may miss what I'm telling. So as of now, just watch it. Maybe once you all are comfortable, right, and once you're done with today's session, then you can go back and do it. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So what will happen is this will open up a browser like this. Okay, it will open a web browser for you, and you will have a you will have one page open like this on your machine. Automatically it will open. After this, you don't have to see this one, but don't close it. Okay, you just leave this as it is. Don't close it, just leave it. Okay, it will be running in the background, just leave it. What is important is this page for us. Now here, right on the top, you have here one option called new. So just click on this new, and here you will have this option called Python 3. So just click on this Python 3. So what it will do is it will open a new notebook for us. Okay, so what is happening is now do you see this? You want me to repeat? Yeah, sure. Okay, don't worry. Let me show you a little part, a basic part of this, and I will show you once again, okay, how to open up the Jupyter notebook for yourself. So what you see over here is a nice page where you can start working with Python. Now, do you see what was the difference I was telling you? See this black screen and see this now. It looks much user friendly, right? When I start using it, you will find that it is even more easier to use the Jupyter notebook than the vanilla Python UI. Okay, this black screen is very difficult to interact with Python. So that's the reason why we are using this Jupyter notebooks. So Jupyter notebook looks like this. Now, what is the specialty of this Jupyter notebooks is you can write code, you can make notes inside this, you can keep pictures inside this, everything can be done inside this. Okay, like for example, don't worry, I'm going to show you all again step by step what is being done, but I'll show you the kind of things that can be done. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so I'm just showing you some things first. Okay, you see here I can keep a nice text. Okay, and I can also say my first notebook. Okay, so I can write text like this, and then I can write my code over here. Whatever I want, I can write over here and run it. Okay, again, I'm telling you all, I will repeat these things. Just first get a hang of how the environment is looking like. Okay, and you can also name the notebook here. You can rename the notebook. Right now, the name of the notebook is untitled. So what I will do here, I will rename it and say my, you can give anything. Okay, my first notebook. You can give anything. You can give with underscore. Okay, you can give with anything. Okay, so I'm giving like this and rename. So you see here, the name of the notebook has changed. And if you go back to the path, you will see here my notebook has appeared now. Okay, and actually this part what you are seeing over here is nothing but the folder that we had taken. Okay, you see here this notebook folder we are seeing here. This is the notebook folder you are seeing over here. Okay, so what is happening is this notebook is getting created on your machine. So you have that notebook saved on your local machine. Okay, let me repeat once again about how the notebook has to be started, how this Jupyter thing has to be started. Let me show you once again quickly. Okay, so what we'll do is basically first step is go to this website I had shared you all earlier, right? Go to, or you can just search online for Anaconda, download Anaconda, and you can download it from this website here. Okay, I'll just paste this also for your reference if you want. Okay, let me paste this also just in case. Okay, so I'm pasting this. So what you need to do is based on the OS of your machine, just download this, install it. Once that is done. Okay. Then what you need to do, go in your search over here and search for anaconda. Just type ANA, it will start showing you the anaconda prompt. Just click on this anaconda prompt. Okay, once you click this anaconda prompt, it opens one black screen. What you need to do is you just need to set up a folder for yourself on your machine where you will do all the project related work. So for that, let's say you create one folder on your machine. Okay, you create one folder on your machine. In my case, I am doing it on my D drive, and I've created one folder called CSR box. And inside that folder, I'm going to store my things. So what I can do, I can just right click, copy address. Okay. And here what I do, I just paste that address here. Okay, just paste the address here and hit, just before that, put CD. Okay, CD is change directory. So just put CD and hit enter. Any path on your machine, okay, it doesn't have to be D drive. If you have E drive, F drive, G drive, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You just need to give the path over here. And once you give that, you need to just say here D colon, just the drive name. You just need to put the drive name. So you just put it here D colon and hit enter. Now it will say that it is looking at this path. Okay. So now once you have this, you need to type Jupyter hyphen NOTEBOOK. Remember it is not JUPI, it is PY. Okay, it is Jupyter. And remember, don't forget to put this hyphen in between, hyphen notebook. Okay, and then just hit enter. Once you hit enter, a notebook, a page will pop up automatically like this. Okay, it will basically come to this location here. Okay, it will come to this location over here, and most likely it may be empty if you don't have anything in that folder. Then what you need to do is just go here on top right and click on new Python 3. It will open a new notebook for you like this. Okay, it will open a new notebook like this for you. Now, what is the purpose of this notebook is? The purpose of this notebook is to keep track of your code and also the results that have come out of the code. Okay, so you need to keep track of the code and also see the results of the code, right? So that is where this notebook is going to be very helpful for you. Okay, don't worry, and this recording will be available in case you want to go back and look at it also. You can go back and look at these things. Okay, once again, in case you are finding it difficult. Anyways, we have another session also. So if you are still struggling to start this thing, right, you let me know. We can take it up one by one. So kernel will be there. You should install it, and then you will see this over here. Something like this you will see. Okay, Python, Python 3 IPy kernel you will see. Okay, now how do we work around this notebook? Okay, let me create another notebook maybe for y'all. Okay, I'll just come over here. I'll just say here and I'll click this Python 3. Okay, I'm creating a new notebook. So now when this new notebook gets created, see again there will be one more notebook here. You see here in the main folder, there is one more notebook over here. Okay. Now I can rename this. I will say second notebook. Okay, I'm just giving some random name. You can give any meaningful name also, but I'm just giving some random name. Now in this environment, I'll just try to explain you the things that you see in this environment now. Okay, so here, right, this is called a cell. Okay, this is called a cell, CELL, cell. Here you see here cell. Okay, so like this, you can have many cells. There is no limit on that. You can have n number of cells in this notebook. Now in this you see there is only one cell, right? There is only one cell. If I want to add more cells, I can just click on this plus over here. You see the plus over here? Just click on this. See, it is adding cells. Okay, it will keep adding the cells over here. How many ever you want, you can keep adding that cells over there. Okay. Now, see, when you see here, you see one blue color over here, right? Okay. And now when I just click inside this cell, okay, I'm just going to click the cursor inside this cell. You see the color has changed to green now. Okay, so what does this mean is, like, if I click outside it will become blue, and if I click inside it becomes green. What is the difference is, when you see the green color, it means it is in edit mode, means it is waiting for you to type something inside the cell. When you click outside, it is in a non-edit mode. That means, see, now if I type also on my keyboard, right, it is not going to allow me to type anything. So whenever you want to start typing in the cell, just click inside the cell. Okay, once you click here, you can start writing your code. Okay, so this is about the cell and adding the cell. Now you want to delete a cell, you want to remove one cell, then there is this scissor over here, right? You can just click on that. Okay, I'll just keep on alphabets over here so that we see the difference when it is deleting. Okay, they don't have any meaning, I'm just putting it for us to see the deletion. So here, see, if I delete this, first time D will go off. See, D is gone. Now if I do this, W will be gone. Let's say I want to delete this T. So I'll click over here and I'll see that is gone. Okay, so this is for deleting the cell or cutting the cell. Okay, if you want to add a cell, see, like this, plus, you can add the cell. Okay, so these are some first few important things for you to start getting used to the environment. Now, next thing that you may want to look at is, there is one option here called code, and there is another option here called Markdown. Don't worry about the other two things at this point of time. Okay, we'll maybe once you are exploring Python and Jupyter notebooks further, you can go back to these things, but we will focus only on these two things. Okay, code and Markdown. See, when you see a kind of an option over here called in, right, over here, that means it is waiting for you to write some code in that. Okay, it you're writing some code in that. Okay, now if I make this to Markdown over here, see, that thing is gone. That in which was there over here is gone. What is this? It means that this is for you to write your text. Okay, it is just for you to write your text. Text means what? See, in your notebooks, what do? You write some notes for yourself, right? So that maybe after a few days when you come back, you should remember what you had written in that, right? I mean, for what purpose you did some calculation over there. You will write some notes about that calculation, right? So that is the same thing over here. So if I want to do some addition, let's say I'm taking a very basic layman example, like I want to add two numbers. I want to write some notes for that and keep. So what I can do is I will convert this into a markdown cell. So right now it is a markdown cell and I will type my things. Okay. So yes, Surya, you're right. It is like comments. Correct. Exactly. It is like a comment for you. Okay. So now here I'm saying, I am creating this notebook for adding two numbers. Okay. I'm writing my things. That's all. Okay. It will help me to store my text in this. Okay. Now, let's say you write in your notebook, what do? You put nice bold letters, you maybe put some coloring and all, right? So that is one way of highlighting or making something more like a title kind of a thing in your notebooks, right? Same way here also, here also, you can make titles and all. How can you do that is put one hash and you put here my title. So, okay, if you do this, see. Okay, you see how it has appeared over here? My title. It has come in bold letters in a big size. And you see here the one which I have written previously, it is just like a normal text. Okay, see, just like in your notebooks, you write and underline or you make them bold and all. You can do the same thing over here. Okay, you can do a lot of stuff, but I don't want to get into those things right now because it will be too much of different things that you have to look into. Okay, so as of now, let's remember that you can just put a hash in front of it. Okay, see, but one thing is there, right? Do you notice when I'm having it like this? See, it is in the green color, edit mode. Okay, it is in the edit mode. When I am doing it like this, it is showing me hash and my title and all these things. But okay, but now When I am doing something like this, you see it is gone. The hash is gone and it is looking like a nice title over here, right? It looks very neat. How is that happening? So what I'm doing is, here you see this button called run. You need to click this run button. Okay, so what you do is you write everything that you want over here and click the run button. What happens, see, Python, right? As a programming language, whatever you're writing over here, right? First, only you are seeing it. Okay, when you're writing that text over here, only you are seeing it. Python doesn't know that you have written something like this. You have to send that thing to Python. Then only it will know what it has to do with that command that you have given, and it will give back an appropriate answer to you. So for that, you need to click on this run button. Okay, so it's more like you are writing the instruction, and when you hit the run button, you're sending the instruction, and then the machine or Python programming, okay, the Python program is executing your instruction and sending back the response. Okay, this is what happens when you click the run button. But what you need to remember is, this is not a command. It is just a information which, as humans, we are storing it for our purpose. Okay, we are storing it for our purpose. Machine doesn't care what you have written in this English. I hope you guys know, right? Machine don't understand our language. Our English language, they don't understand. For them, it's all numbers. Okay, so when you write anything and send, right, they go in numbers to them and they process it and they send it back. Okay, so yeah, it is like comments, or it is like, writing whatever notes you want for yourself, you can write and keep in this. Okay, now when you want to, let's say you want to edit this, again you want to modify, you are saying that no, I don't want to put title, I will write something different over here. So what you can do, just double click on this. Okay, see, double click. Okay, I'm showing you, double click. See, when you double click, it goes into edit mode again. Okay, so when you double click, it will go into edit mode, my title, or I can just edit over here, my first title. Okay, and I'm running this again. See, now it became. If you want to edit again, double click. If you want to run it, run. You want to edit here, double click. Okay, so double click, it will go into edit mode. And if you run it, the result will be shown over here. But this, at this point of time, Python is still not, taking anything to process. This is just like, it is just giving it back. Okay, so if you don't put hash, see the difference. Okay, if I remove this hash, let's say I remove this hash now, see how it will look. See, it will look like a normal text. Okay, what the hash does is, the hash gives the bold look for it. Okay, or if I have to tell you, in your Word document, you have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, right? That is exactly what happens. When you put one hash, it is like heading 1. Okay, now if I want to put heading 2, I'll put 2 hash and I will say, let's say I put here header 2. If I want to put a header 3, you put 3 hash. Okay, now if I show you this, right, see, this is the big one. This is slightly smaller than that. This is even smaller than that. Okay, so this helps you in keeping track of your note. I mean, writing notes for your notebook, keeping titles, subtitles, everything. Okay, so this is what is called as Markdown. Okay, you saw here the word Markdown. It's called Markdowns. Okay, so this is what you do in Markdowns. Misha, you're asking, is this the way to develop a data science project? See, this is the beginning part. Data science is a pretty huge thing. Okay, I think there are a lot of things for us to reach to that level where you can start doing a data science project. Right now, you're also in an initial step. This is like your first baby step you're taking in starting to understand the environment. Okay, and what happens is, when you start with a project, right, the experimentation, as I told you, all right, here there is nothing like a standard operating procedure. No one is going to tell you start doing this step 1, step 2, step 3. No one is going to tell. You are like a scientist here. Okay, how does a scientist work? A scientist works with experiments, right? He does a lot of experiments and then comes up with a solution out of it, right? So this place is your experiment lab. Okay, you're going to do experiments in this notebook so that you can find a solution for your problem statement. Jupyter notebooks are meant for your experiments. Okay, not seeing in my Jupyter notebook. Ideally, see, if you notice one thing, if this is in the markdown mode, you will not see that in kind of a thing, like how you're seeing over here, you won't see over here. Okay, so here it is in the code mode. It is in the code. You see here, see, if you click here, it is showing code. If I click here, see, it is showing markdown. Okay, these two are different type of cells. This one is storing markdown text. This one is going to store our code. I mean, you can write your code over here. Okay, guys, I hope you are getting comfortable with certain parts of the notebook, right? How much Python is required for data analysis? A lot. A lot of it is required. You need to understand core program. I mean, you have to be good in programming if you want to start analyzing with the data sets and all. Perfect, perfect, Jay. I'm glad to know that it was helpful for you, this part. Okay, so this is the part where you have started interacting with your notebooks and Python now. Okay, so now let's go to a little bit next step. Okay, little bit next step. Okay, remember, guys, don't, I told you all one part in the initial step, right? If something is not showing as expected, that means there is something wrong that you have done. Remember, Python is never wrong. Okay, Python never goes wrong in any way. Okay, it's most of the time our mistake that we are doing. So if your headers and all are not showing up as I am seeing, there is a problem here because probably you must have not left a space. See, hash space. If you don't leave that space, right, it will start showing you differently. Okay, so remember, these small things matter a lot in Python. So need to be very careful. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Okay, what is the next step is now, how do I start writing some Python code to interact with Python and pass some instruction and get back some output from it. That is where I will start writing the code over here. Okay, see, I'm not going to go into the detail of programming language as such, but just very high level, I'll touch certain things which are concepts which are required for you to understand. Okay, see, if you go into programming language, right, there are three important things for you to know. Okay, first thing is called an object. Okay, next thing we call it as a method. Okay, method or functions they call. And third thing, let's call it as a class. Okay, see, these are like, if you have done programming or you have done computer science, these are some pretty common things you would have heard about it and learned about it. But for people who are not familiar, right, these are some three basic things you may have to know a little bit more into programming. Let's not get into these two things because these are quite big topics. Okay, and they require in detail knowledge of how programming works. Okay, so then only you will learn those things. Today we'll just touch on the one part called objects. Okay, so that you can get a basic understanding. See, what is an object, right? Don't don't think of it in any complex way. Simple thing. Anything in Python you create is an object. Okay, that means what, let's say I put an equal to, and let's say I put one x over here and I put one number 5 over here. Okay, see, what you are trying to do is in programming is you're trying to create certain values and store them inside a object. Okay, so here x is an object. Why it is an object? Because it can store this number inside it. It's like, in very layman terms, if I have to tell you, it is like one box in which you're putting something and keeping. Okay, very layman I'm putting it. So x is like a box and inside that you're putting 5. So x is called an object. And one very easy way for you to probably find out what is an object is anything on the left hand side of equal to, you can think of it as an object. The left hand side of this is x, right? So it is an object. Okay, like this you can create any type of object, but remember they have to start with an alphabet. Okay, they have to always start with an alphabet. So you can put y is equal to 10, z is equal to 100. You can give any name, not necessary that it has to always be x, y, z. You can give any name also. Like for example, you can say age is equal to 28. You can give variable names or object names like this also. Okay, again, there are many rules for this for you to learn, but let's stick to some basic things as of now, given like, we are trying to just understand the basics of it. Yes, and one very important thing, let's say you want to create an object name which is combining two words, you can put them with an underscore, like something like age underscore male is equal to 52. You may not be able to give something like age male is equal to 52. If you do like this, it will give an error. Okay. So if you do like this, it will give an error. If you want to have multiple kind of, readable names for an object, you can use an underscore in between to differentiate them. Okay. Like you're putting two words together, right? Sometimes reading something like this may be difficult, right? Age male equal to 52. If I read like this, it may be difficult to read. So instead, if I write it like this, age underscore male, it becomes easy for me to read. So if you want to combine multiple words, use an underscore in between. Okay. Now let me show you what this means in our Python. Okay. So very simple. Let's say if I say x is equal to 5. Okay. X is equal to 5. Now, see, this x is equal to 5 is something that I know. I have written this. I know there is something like I'm storing this number 5 inside the object x. But Python still doesn't know that. So what I should do now? I should send this command to Python so that Python remembers that, okay, x is equal to 5. Okay, I need to send that. So what I'll do this, I'll hit the run button here. Okay, you see here now what has happened? There's a number which has come up here. It is telling that the code has been sent and the output has come back, or it is executed. Okay. Now, what has happened is, okay. So now what has happened is I have put this number 5 in X. Now let's say if I want to see what X is holding, what that box, or let's say what is this object X holding inside it, I can just type the object name here and hit run. You see here, see, it is storing the number 5 inside it. Okay, it is storing the number 5 inside it. Now let's say similarly, if I do y is equal to 100. Now what I'll do, I'll hit the run button. And when I hit this, and if I do again, if I want to check, see, y is storing the value 100 inside it. Okay, you see here now, this is called in and this is called out, right? In means input, out means output. Okay, so input, you are telling that what is the value of y, you are asking Python, it is giving the output 100. Okay, so this is how you create an object in Python and store values inside it. So this is one of the basic things in Python. Now, as I was telling, I could also create something like this. Age is equal to 28. And now I run this and I get here age. Okay. Now, let's say I want to see the value of x again. Okay, I have stored the value of x again. I want to see this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Welcome to the first error that you are getting in your Python. So this is the error that we are getting. Any guess why this error is coming? I'm sure many of you all would know. So why do you think it is coming? So there is a mistake in the command that you have sent. Exactly. So one more very important thing to remember in Python is it is case sensitive. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It is case sensitive. Case sensitive means what? It means that small x and capital X are different. Okay, small letters are different from capital letters. So if you are storing number 5 in X, what you are doing is, see, I'm printing X here again, right? Small x. Okay, so we are using small x, but what did I do over here? I used capital X. I never created anything called capital X, so that's why it is telling I don't know what is name X. I don't know what is X. It is not defined. Okay, and regarding, I mean, I'm getting some questions regarding libraries and all. I'll touch a few libraries. Okay, I mean, one library I won't touch that, so that you can get a understanding of what the libraries are also about. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, so what you need to remember is here, this is capital X, and what we did initially was small x. That is why Python is telling that I don't know what is this capital X. Okay, that's why it is telling name X is not defined. And one, I would say, one thing, many people get scared seeing these errors and all, but that is the beauty of programming. Okay, the more errors you are exposed to, your experience improves a lot with programming. Okay, so don't feel demotivated when you look at errors, because sometimes these errors will literally, go make you go crazy. But once you cross those errors, right, I think your experience will become so good that just looking at the error, you know exactly what is going wrong. You won't even go and break your head for that. You will just go, you know exactly where it is going wrong. You will fix it. Okay, so don't feel bad or don't get demotivated when you keep seeing some errors. Okay, and if you find that you're not able to solve it, very simple thing, just copy this error and paste it in Google. There will be, hundreds of answers for you available, and there is no such problem which is not solved. Okay, don't think your problem is something unique. Okay, so you just copy this error, paste it in Google, you will find someone giving you a solution of why it is happening. Okay. Yeah, perfect. GPT also you can use now. Okay, I think people are become very good using GPTs and all nowadays. Okay, and yeah, sometimes some other programming languages like C and all, right, they require you to declare variables. Here you don't have to declare variables. You can just start using the variables directly. Variables, objects, they mean the same thing. Okay, I'm just using the terminology, but object, variables, both, right? They mean the same thing. Here you don't have to declare variables. Okay, so you can directly start storing the values inside the objects. Okay, guys, I hope you understood what we did over here, right? We are creating objects here, like, x is equal to 5, y is equal to 100. See, some of you all may be wondering, why are we even doing this x equal to 5, y equal to 100? What is the thing we are achieving over here? See, the point is, what is programming is? Programming is combining many lines of code to come up with a solution, right? You're writing multiple lines of code. And what you're doing is, in each line of code, you're doing some calculation or some specific kind of an instruction you're doing, and you need to send that output to the next line of code, right? So that is the purpose you need these kind of separate lines of code to process that. Okay, so that is why you are in the very initial step of writing lines of codes. Once all these instructions, right, set of instructions you create, you will send them, right? What it will do, it will run the first line, take the output, send it to the second line, take the output, send it to the third line. Like that, it processes in that sequence. Okay, so that is the purpose why you need to create these objects. See, if I do like this, right, 5. See, 5 is there. Okay, okay, 5, if I just write like this number 5 and I hit the run button, it will display 5, but it is not stored anywhere. Okay, it is not stored inside the memory of Python anywhere. So whenever I want to use this number for any specific case, I will not be able to do it. So that is why, if you store this number inside an object, like let's say h, right, I can store this number inside an object like I put over here, and I can use this for any purpose. For example, I want to say h into 2. Okay, let's say plus. Okay, I'll just use plus for now. H plus 2. So what will happen now, when I write h plus 2, it will take this number 5 which is there inside h, add the number 5 to this 2 and give me the answer. So if I run this, see, answer is 7. Right? How did it get the answer 7? H is 5, right? So 5 plus 2, 7. If I would have not done this saving inside it, I cannot use it like this. It won't work. Okay. So this is how you write your code in Python, and then you send it to Python for taking that instruction and sending back the output for you. Okay. And just coming back to the previous one where what I talked about capital X and small x, what it means is, see, for example, if I put x is equal to 10, okay, and I put capital X is equal to 20, and I'm, okay, let me not confuse you here right now. Let me put it separately. Okay, so x is equal to 10 and I put run, and capital X equal to 20, I put run. See here now, I'm printing small x, I'm printing capital X. Two different numbers are stored. Okay, so remember, it is case sensitive. See, for example, another example I'll give you. Let's say I'm creating one object called age and I'm storing the age equal to 28. Okay, now if I run this, the number 28 is stored inside this age. Now let's say I try to print that age. Okay, why is it giving an error? It is the same thing, right? Why is it giving an error? Right? It is case sensitive. Right? It is case sensitive. Case sensitive means, see here, I used all small letters, and here I used just one capital letter. So the first one is not the same as the second one. They both are completely different. So what Python will do, it will say, I don't know what is this age. I've never seen this. Okay. So that is why always remember to use the same thing. Like for example, if I use small a here now, see now it will print it. Okay. So that's why be careful with the case of the object that you're trying to create. Okay. That makes sure that things don't go sideways for you. Okay, guys, I hope you understood this part. Yeah, you need to hit the run button. Okay, every time you write this, you need to hit the run button. Okay, and just to give you all a shortcut, you can use Shift Enter. Okay, shortcut is Shift plus Enter. Plus means you don't have to press the plus key. Okay, what you need to do is press the Shift button and hit the Enter button. It will run it. Keyboard shortcut, that is. Okay, if you feel that keeping here and clicking on run is a kind of a mundane task for you, you can use the shortcut key Shift plus Enter. Okay. All right. So now I'll just go back to my notebook and one minute. Okay, so I was just explaining you all these two things, right? I showed you all what these two objects are and all, right? I showed you that. No, there's nothing like a login or anything required for this. It's running on your local machine. There's no login and all required. Okay, if you're using Anaconda. Okay. All right. So now another thing is I showed you all about numbers, right? Like how to store numbers inside an object. It is not necessary that you can store only numbers inside an object. You can store text also inside an object. So how do you store text inside an object is you give them within quotes. Okay, you give them in quotes. Okay, like for example, let's say I create, okay, I'm saying name. I'm creating an object called name and I'm giving the name here called, let's say, John. Okay, if I want to give the name John, if I just give like this, right, name equal to John, and I hit run button, it will give an error because it doesn't know what John is, right? It doesn't know what is John. So what I need to do is I need to put it in quotes. Okay, if I put it in quote and I run it, see now it works. If I put name now, see now John is there inside it. Okay, so now I can store even text inside objects. Okay, I can store text also inside objects. So not necessary that only numbers, you can store text also, and you can put any length of the text. Not necessary that it should be only, one word or two words or three words. You can put hundreds of words also. Like for example here, if you see this, I have put the whole text inside it, and I have stored it inside the object called string1. So you can give the numbers also in the object, but the first should always be a character. Okay, the starting should always be a character. See, for example, I can create an object called a1 is equal to 5. Okay, let's say I create this, it will work. I cannot create an object called 1a is equal to 5. If I do this and I run, see, it gives an error. So always the starting should be a letter. After that, you give numbers, alphabets, whatever it is, you can do. Like for example, I do this, it will work. See, it works. Okay, but it should not start with a number. If I do this, it will give an error. Okay, so remember that part also. Yeah, so there is one more thing. People, so this is like again, I always tell this part to all my students about it is in open source, right? See, Python is an open source programming language. Open source programming language means anyone can use it free of cost. Anyone. Okay, there's no limitation. You can also make some application out of this and sell it also. No one is going to stop you. Okay, it's completely open source. So you can use it for your own purpose, commercially, personally, you can do it. Okay, but when you come into this open source, right, there is a problem of plenty. Problem of plenty means what, it's like you can solve one problem in 10 different ways. That doesn't mean that one way which I am doing it, the other person is doing in a different way. That means that is wrong. It is not like that. It is just that there are so many options to solve the problem in different ways. So it is just your preferences or your choice of what you are comfortable with. Okay, why I am telling that is, see, some people write it in single quotes like this, but you can also put it in double quotes. That means like this. You can also put it in double quote. There's nothing wrong in that. Okay, so I can do it like this also. See, if I do like this, see, it will work. Either single quote or double quote. Any one, but don't mix it up. Not like one double quote and here one single quote. This will not work. See. Okay, so either use both sides double quotes or both sides single quotes. Not like one this side double quote and one single quote. Okay, guys. So remember these things whenever you are working in your Python notebooks. Okay. Now let me show you some parts of it where how things work in Python. Okay. So here, right, let's say if I'm storing two values, and one more thing, right? I have been writing all one only in one. I mean, in each cell, I'm writing only one line, right? Not necessary. You can write 10 lines of code in a single cell also. There's nothing wrong in that. Okay, there's nothing wrong. But it is again how you maintain your notebook or how you try to keep your code clean. Okay, so one way of how people tend to follow keeping things in a notebook is in one cell, all the logic related to one particular thing can be kept in one cell. If your logic is changing or you're writing some other thing, then you move to the next cell. Don't write the whole code in one single cell. It doesn't look good. So if there is a logic, write that in one cell, then the logic is over, go to the next cell. Okay, so that's how people tend to follow of writing their code. Again, there is no hard and fast rule, but good practices. These are best practices. There is a question like, do we need to run Anaconda software every time to use Jupyter Notebook? Yes, I will show you. Okay, I will show you all again at the end of the session when I'm going to close everything. And next day, when let's say I'm coming back and I want to start working again, how do I do that? I will show you that also. Okay. Now, let's say I'm creating two objects here. X is equal to 2 and Y is equal to 10. Okay, I'm creating two objects here and I'm going to hit the run button. So now, if you see here, what is the value of X? It is having 2. What is the value of Y? It is having 10. Okay. Now, let's say if I want to add two numbers, subtract two numbers, divide two numbers, multiply, right? I can do everything what I can do in a calculator, I can do it here also. This is like a simple calculator also for you. Okay. So what you can do is you can just say x plus y. Now, what is this print over here? So what happens is I'll show you what happens. Okay. Let's see what happens and then maybe you can understand what it does. Okay. Here I'm just removing off this. Okay. Please do go ahead and use anything that you're comfortable with. Okay. I'm not restricting you to know, in Anaconda Jupyter notebooks, you are comfortable with PyCharm, VS Code, Google Colab. People who have used these things, you're comfortable, continue using that. No problem in that. But the point that I'm using this is there are so many people who don't know, right? So I'm trying to keep it in a standard way. But others, you're comfortable using other IDEs, please continue doing that. Okay, so now the purpose of print. Okay, let me show you what is happening here. What I did is I'm adding two numbers. Okay, like for example, let's say I put x plus y. What will be the answer be? It will be 12, right? It will be what? 2 plus 10. Answer is 12. Correct? Now, if I want to do subtraction, I can just put a minus here. So what it will do now? Minus 8. If I want to do division, I can just put slash over here and it will do division for me. And if you want to do multiplication, you use the asterisk sign and you will get multiplication. Okay. Modulus is also there. Not coming to it right now. Okay. But you have options of that. There are several other mathematical operators also available, right? So we'll stick to the basic ones right now. Okay. So now all mathematical computations are available in this, right? So I did addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, everything you can do. But now let's say I want to do all these and get all the answers together. In one shot, I want to get all the answers. Now let's say I put all that code over here and I run this. What do you think it is doing? I put everything, right? Ideally, it should have shown me all the answers, but it is not showing. So I'm getting some answer now. What is that answer? Exactly. Exactly. What is the answer? The answer is the last one. Whatever is the last one, it is printing that. It is not printing whatever are the answers that are there for this. Okay. So if you want to see all the answers, you want to see what is the answer of this, what is the answer of this, and this, all of them you want to see, you need to use the print. Okay. So these are called functions. Okay. What are functions now? See, you remember I was telling you earlier, right? See, we were talking about objects, right? We saw what is an object, right? Anything that you create in Python is an object. That means most simple way to remember is anything there is an equal to, the left hand side is an object. Okay. Now we are talking about functions. What are functions? I'm sure we all have used Excel, right? In Excel, you have seen there are functions like average, sum, median, like this. There are many functions, right? Exactly like that. So Python also has some inbuilt functions. Okay. See, in Excel, when you're using the sum function, are you writing the logic for that sum function? No, right? Someone has written that and kept. You're directly using the sum function for that. Same way, in Python, there are some inbuilt functions which can do certain tasks for you without you telling what has to be done. Someone has written the logic for that. So one such function is print. Correct. There are many functions like that. Okay. Python has, I don't know how many functions. There are many functions. Okay. I don't know the count. There are many functions. Okay. So there is this function called print. Now, how do you know whether it is an object or a function, right? One more basic way of easy way to remember is whenever you see a bracket, right? Like this, a bracket, that means it's a function. Correct. Okay. Whenever any name, let's say if I say, let's say I have one function called print, right? And after print, I have some bracket like this, right? And inside that you're putting something. So whenever you see a bracket, right, it is a function. And whenever you see an equal to like this and left hand side there is something like this, that is an object. Okay, what are functions? They are a set of instructions already predefined which you can directly use. They will do that purpose specific task. So for example, again, I'm just trying to go back. In Excel, you have numbers 5, 6, 7, right? So in Excel, you have like this, right? Column A, and then you have the rows here, 1, 2, 3. Then what you do, you put here equal to sum. You will say A1 colon A3. And what it will do, it will give you 18, right? It will give 18. How did it know that answer has to be 18? Someone has written something in this sum which tells that whatever range they pass, you add that up and give the answer. Correct? Exactly like this sum in Python, we have one thing called now print. I mean, sum is doing addition, print is going to print. Okay, it is meant for that purpose. So that in mind, what I'm doing here, I'm using print x plus y, print x minus y. So now when I run this, you see here now, everything is printed. Not just the last one, everything that you have put in print statement is printed. Okay, guys, I hope you understood this part. Okay, see, the parts that I'm touching are majorly for the purpose that I want to talk about data analysis, right? Related to that, I'm talking. But these all require a lot of in-depth discussions also about functions, objects, classes, right? These are big topics to be discussed. But for us, for the purpose of data analysis, whatever is required, I'm touching on those kind of points which are required for us. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, do you see one part? I mean, do you see the part in my notebook? How I'm maintaining things? Like, see, I'm keeping nicely one section here. I talked about numerical data and operations over here in this section. Once I finish this section, I'm starting a new section called library. How is this? This is all markdowns. So you see here, see markdown. Okay, see your markdown. Now I'm starting a new section called library. Okay. So what is a library in Python? As I told you all, Python is an open source programming language. So open source means anyone can contribute, anyone can use it. So it is completely, free to use. Library is kind of a, let's say, yeah, correct. It's like a tool or pre-written functions available for you. Okay, again, I'm taking a very layman example. Let's say I write some function for a particular logic. Okay. Let's say, for example, okay, let's take again very basic example. Let's say multiplication. I have written the logic to do multiplication. Okay. Now, what I think is, okay, if I have written this function and I find it useful, there may be thousands of people who may want to use this function. So what I will do is I'll give this function to the community. Like, I will make this available for all of you all to use it. So tomorrow what you can do, you can just get those functions and start using it. You don't have to write the logic for multiplication. Okay, so these are some functions which someone else has written, not like, inbuilt inside Python. How Python gives by default certain functions. Some functions are written by us, like users like us. And that function can be useful to many other people also. So what we do is we contribute to that community. We give back to that community by putting it in a common location. And then anyone like us can download it from that place and start using them directly. You don't have to write the logic again and again. Okay, so that's the beauty of open source. Open source makes your things easily available. People don't have to replicate or start from scratch. That is the advantage you have with open source. Okay, now how do you get such kind of information? Right? You have some problem statement or you want some code and you are trying to see if that is already available, right? How will you know? There's no other way but you have to search on Google. Okay, go and search. Someone will suggest you saying that, there is a package, there is a library like this in Python. You can use that for your purpose. Okay, there is no straightforward way to find out what is available, what is not available. You have to Google it. Okay. See, there is some part of effort which is required from our side, even though it is open source. Okay, so we have to search for certain things and take them. Now, what are these libraries are? Libraries are a set of functions. So there are a lot of functions put together inside one library. If I have to put it in again very simple words, right? Think of it like one zip file. Okay, you have one zip folder and inside that all the functions are put inside that and given to you. You can just take that zip folder, take all the files inside that and start using them for yourself. You don't have to write the logic for that. You can directly use it. So that way you have libraries available. Now, how do we get those libraries when we need them? How do we install those libraries? That is where what you can do is you can just use exclamation mark, and you need to use this standard command. Yes, correct. Pip install and the library name. So this is a standard command. Okay. You just say pip install and don't forget to put the exclamation mark, exclamation pip space install space the package name or the library name. Okay. If you ask me, how do we know the library name? Again, as I told you, you have to Google it. Okay. You won't be able to identify directly like that. You have to search on Google. Someone will suggest some things. I think someone had mentioned in the chat also, right? Stack Overflow and all. There are a lot of discussions which happen where people tell you can use this package, that package. So, you can start using the package based on that. Okay. And this exclamation mark is required to execute the command. So whenever you want to do these installations, right? So you need to use that exclamation mark. And yes, you need internet connection because this is going to fetch the library from a common repository which is stored in some place. Okay, so that is why you need to have internet connection for this. So whenever there is a package which you want, first time you have to download it. After that, you don't have to download it every time. It's only a one-time job. Because what happens is when you do this pip install and run this command, right, it will go to the server where the packages are kept. It will fetch it from there and bring it onto your local machine. So you don't have to do it every time, only one time. That's all. After that, it will be there on your machine forever. So always remember, this is the command exclamation pip space install space package name. Perfect, perfect, good. So I think people are trying it out. That's good. Okay. So now once you install this library, you want to start using it, right? So what will happen now? You have this thing called as import. You need to use this command called import and tell the package name. See what is happening, when you bring this package, it comes and sits on your machine, but Python still doesn't know that there is a package called math. Okay. See, this package math has lot of mathematical functions inside it, like square root and all different kind of trigonometric functions, everything, right? That is present in that package called math. So if you want to use these functions, right, then you need this math package. So you need to install that math package. Okay. So once you install this math package, what will happen? It will bring it and keep it on your machine, on your local machine. Now, how does Python know that this math package is available on the machine? You have to use this import. You say import math. Okay, so import and the package name. So when you tell this, what Python will do is Python will go and look at that package called math or library called math and take all the functions and keep for itself. Or it knows that now there is a library called math and all the functions inside that, whatever are present. Okay, good question. So there is a question, how would I know what functions are there in this library, right? So what you can do is, let me show you that. So just type the package name, math, and then put a dot. Okay, just put a dot and just hit tab. Okay. Oh, I didn't run this. Okay, let me run this import math. Okay, and then you type math dot tab. Okay, see what did I do? I put the package name or the library name dot and I hit the tab button on your keypad. You have the tab button, right? Hit that tab button. When you hit that, you will see that there is one pop-up kind of thing which comes and it shows you all the functions that are present in this particular package. See, there is cos function, tan function, there is a degrees function, exponential function, whatever. See, factorial, lot of functions. Some we may know, some we may don't know, some we may not require at all. But all these things are available. Okay, so now let's say I'm taking the square root function, right? There is a function called square root. So I type sqrt. Okay, and you want to know what is this function about, right? So what you can do, you can put a question mark in front of it and you run this cell. Okay, when you do that, it shows you a small help kind of thing. It tells you, it just gives you some basic idea about what that function is about. It is telling you that this returns the square root of the number. Okay, like for example, you want to look at cos. Okay, if you do this, see, returns the cosine of x. Okay, so whenever you don't know what that function is for, you can put a question mark in front of it and hit the run button. It will give you a small help. It will show you a small help page over here about what that function is all about. Okay, so now what I can do is I will say package name dot the function name and I give the input. I'm telling get me the square root of 10. See, the square root of 10 is 3.16. If I give 100, see, square root of 100 is 10. Okay, see now I didn't have to write what square root function has to do. Someone has written that, I'm directly using it. That is the advantage of libraries. Okay, I didn't have to write the core logic of what square root should do. Someone has already written it. I just took that function, just gave it an input, it gave me an output. Okay, so like this, there are hundreds or not hundreds actually, thousands of functions, maybe lakhs also, I don't know. But there are n number of functions available like this in different packages or libraries. So there are, I don't remember the exact number, but maybe around 8,000 plus. If anyone is aware of what is the latest number, but I think there are 8,000 plus libraries, I think in Python, maybe or more than that also, I don't remember. Okay, so there are so many libraries available and those libraries will have so many functions inside them. This is a mathematical library, so there are mathematical functions. There are so many other packages meant for different purpose. So you can take them and use it. Yeah, more than 1 lakh. Yeah, sorry. I think I mixed it up with R. Okay, Python has more than that then. Sure. Yeah, it may be more than 1 lakh maybe. It's very difficult to keep track of how many libraries and all are there because people contribute so much to Python. It keeps changing. So there is a question about matplotlib. Yeah, matplotlib is again a library. Inside that library, there is a function called pyplot and all those things. So you make use of them. Okay. Okay. All right. So I hope you understood now what is a library and how you install a library and how to make use of the library and how the function can be used to get some values for yourself. Okay. So this is how your libraries work. Okay. Okay, someone is getting an error saying that could not find a version that satisfies the requirement math from version none. See, I think this math, right? I just showed you all. Ideally, if you're having Anaconda, I think math will directly come. So you don't need to install it. There may be some other packages which you may have to install. That time you can use it. As of now, what you can do is directly use import math because some of the libraries come default with Anaconda. You don't have to install them separately. Oh, okay. It's showing up in Google Colab. Then probably there you may have to. In Google Colab, you have to install everything because they don't give an, I think, environment with everything in it. Okay. So people in Google Colab try to install all these things and start using it. Okay. All right. So now let me get into a little bit about now the analysis. Okay. Data analysis part. See, I wanted to set up a quick base of how Python works for you all. Okay, now you must have got a high level picture of how Python works, right? Now I will start talking about how data analysis has to be done. Okay, or what kind of data analysis you can do. Okay, so now how does data analysis work, right? Or what is data analysis? See, data analysis is nothing but you are given a data set for yourself. Okay, how do you make sure that you can get knowledge out of that data, or what is the insights you can generate out of that data? So how do we do that, right? Like for example, let's say I have one variable called age, I have one variable called income, I have one more variable called gender. Okay, so like this I have some data set. Okay, let's say age is there over here. Age is, let's say, 25, 27, 32, 35, 40, like this. And income is there where you have 10,000, 15,000. I'm just making up some numbers. Okay, 8,000, 35,000 and 40,000. Okay, we have some income like this. Gender is, let's say, male, female, female, male, female, like this you have. Okay, just imagine in your Excel file you can have data like this, right? Now, how do we analyze this data? How do we come up with insights from this data? That is where data analysis comes up. And one very important thing, as I told you, all right, no one is going to tell you how you should analyze this. It is your way of thinking and your analytical thinking that you should analyze and come up with a solution for this. Okay, so I'll give you some ideas. Exactly, right? You may tend to get some insights like higher the age, higher income, right? You may come up with such kind of thing. Sometimes you may also come up about the gender discrimination that is there, right? In salaries and all. You may be able to come up with such kind of analysis also, right? So that is the kind of insights you need to generate when you are given a data set. But how do we analyze the data? It is not like, I pick up anything randomly, start doing something randomly and come up with some answer randomly, right? It doesn't work like that. So there are certain, ways of which you can try to analyze. So what we need to do is there are two types of variables. Most of the data sets, or like every data set will have these variables only. What is that? Numeric and categorical. Okay, you have two types of variables, numeric and categorical. Okay, so what is a numeric variable? A variable which has only numbers in it is called a numeric variable. Like for example, age and income, right? Age and income are all numbers, right? So they are numeric variables. Okay, and when you have variables which have very discrete values, right? Or like, something like male, female, or let's say good, bad, very bad, right? Or let's say, high, medium, low, something very, you have very unique set of values. That is called a categorical variable. So gender is a categorical variable. Can you give me some examples of categorical variable that come to your mind? Can you give me some other names of categorical variables that you can think of? Old, new. Try to give me from a variable perspective. Marital status, right? Very good. Marital status is a good number. Color of car. See, height becomes numeric, right? Height is what? Maybe it's in feet or centimeters or whatever, right? Gender, name, correct. Name, temperature, hot or cold, right? Size, large, medium, small, XL, double XL, triple XL, right? Education status, graduation, post graduation, high school, right? Customer satisfaction, happy, unhappy, totally unhappy, right? So these are all categorical variables which have only unique set of values. Okay, so these are all categorical variables. Numeric variables, I think pretty straightforward. Age, income, nationality is also another example of a good categorical variable, right? Indian, yeah, like let's say American, Indian, African, right? You have like that, right? So they are all categorical variables. Okay, I hope you got the idea of what a categorical and numeric is. Now, based on these characteristics, you can do a certain type of analysis. That is, based on what type of variable it is, you have to analyze according to that. Okay, so what happens is, whenever you have a numeric variable, you can use numeric measures or statistical measures. Okay, numerical statistical measures such as mean, median, and okay, mode also sometime, but let's not go into mode. Just have mean and median. Okay, along with it, you can also have standard deviation and standard deviation. Let's keep standard deviation for now. Range also maybe. Okay, these are all variance, standard deviation. Correct. Yeah. Okay, and when you have categorical variable, you can use counts, proportions, or percentages, right? You can use this type of analysis. Okay. So remember, when you are having a categorical variable, you cannot calculate a mean and median for that. Remember that very well. You should deal with the data based on the type of variable it is. If it is numeric, you can go with mean, median, or standard deviation, range, all such kind of numbers to analyze them. If you're having a categorical variable, you can do only counts, proportion. See, you cannot calculate the mean of a gender, right? Doesn't make sense, right? Calculating the mean or median of a gender doesn't make sense. You at the same time, you cannot take counts. I mean, you can take counts of the numeric variables, but it won't make much sense, because when you talk about numeric variables, there are n number of values possible, which doesn't make sense to take count. Instead, mean, median make more sense. Okay, so that is why always remember, based on the type of variable you have, you will analyze it accordingly. Okay, so now let's try to understand a few of these metrics quickly. Okay, and try to understand how you interpret them. Do I have to explain mean? I'm sure everyone knows what is a mean, right? Mean, average, everyone knows. There's nothing special in that, right? Perfect. Okay, so everyone knows what is a mean, what is an average. Average and mean both mean the same thing, right? I'll just put it in terms of a formula. Okay, so if I have to write it in a statistical way, you just say mean, which is given as x bar, is nothing but summation xi divided by n, and I is equal to 1 to n. So basically very straightforward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if what is this? This is x, let's say. Add up all the numbers divided by the total number of numbers that are there. So if I add up all these numbers, 2 plus 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, right? Correct. So 15 divided by 5, answer is 3. So basically the average is 3. Okay. Now what does this actually average represent? Right? Average represents the centermost of your data. Right? It is the midpoint of your data. It's like a representation of your data. See, for example, if I have to sit and analyze millions of data points, would it be easy for me to look at all the data points? No, right? It won't help me much. So the one way of understanding about that million data points is to look at the average and understand where are these data points surrounding the values. Around what data point are they surrounded? So mean gives me the center part of the data, which tells me, okay, the data is having a center point over here. So when I say, let's say, for example, when I say the average age of Indian population is 32 years. So I can make up a lot of things out of that number, right? I can say that it is a young population. It is a working class population. Okay. It is working class population they're in the lower age of population, right? So there is a young population for us. Now, if I say the average age of this particular country is 47 years, that means this is an aging population. Okay, they are into higher ages. So that means young population is very less, old age population is growing over there. So just by looking at one number, I'm able to judge about that data set, which I will not get that information if I look at all the data points. It won't make much sense for me if I look at all the data points. So that is where average helps us in understanding the variable. Now, similarly, there is another one called median, right? How do you calculate median? Perfect, right? So median is nothing but the middle value, correct? How do you get that middle value? Sort the numbers and then take the middlemost value. See, for example, let's say I'm given the numbers 5, 3, 1, 2, and 4. If I have to get the median of this, how will I do is I will sort these numbers from lowest to highest. So what will happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll take the middlemost number. So it is 3. So median is 3. Okay. But what if sometime there is another number called 6 over here? Right? Then what will happen? Here it will be 6, right? There are two numbers in the middle. So take the average of this. So it will become 3.5. So the median will be 3.5. Okay. Now tell me one thing. If mean is also giving me the same thing and median is also giving me the same thing, why do I need two metrics? Any idea? Both of them are giving me the same thing, right? Why do I unnecessarily need two things for that? Right? Can you tell me why do you think we need these two types of metrics? And what is the difference between mean and median then? Any idea? Sequence might not be same every time. Okay, we don't know how the data may change. Okay, okay. Mathematical and positional average. Okay, okay, okay. Good. Okay, that's fine. But there is one very important difference between these two. Okay, so yes, mean is very sensitive to outliers. Okay, there is something called as an outlier. Okay, what is an outlier is? Outlier is nothing but an extreme value. Okay, outlier is an extreme value. So let's say, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, or let me write the numbers like this. Okay, let me say 5, 3, 1, 4, 2, 100. These are the numbers. Let's say if I calculate the mean, can you all tell me what is the mean for this? What will be the mean for this? It will be 115 divided by 6, right? 115 divided by 6. Mean. Mean will be what? You will add up all these numbers divided by the total number of numbers, right? So 115 divided by 6. 19. Okay. Right? Some 19.16, right? So I will take it as 19. Correct? So mean is 19. Now let's calculate the median for this. What will be the median for this? 3.5. Okay. So 2.5. Okay. I'm getting different numbers over here, right? 3.5, 2.5. Okay. But majority I'm seeing is, okay, I've got an answer of 2 also now. Okay. Majority I'm seeing 3.5. Okay. So let me see if the answer is correct. How will I calculate median? I will sort these numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 100. I sorted them. So what is the middlemost number over here? 3 and 4. So answer is 3.5. So here actually the median is 3.5. Now do you see what is the difference between these two? Did you see how mean got affected by an outlier? So here 100 is an outlier, or it's like an extreme value. Okay, but if you notice median is not affected by outliers. I mean, it doesn't get impacted as how much mean has got. What do we try to understand from this is, see, if you look at the overall data, okay, if you look at this overall data, Actually, they are all very small numbers, right? They are all very 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 they are all very small numbers. Just that there is one big number because of which the mean got pulled towards the larger number. Whereas if you see median doesn't bother about extreme values. It focuses on the center point of your data. Okay, see, just imagine this. Okay, let's say you have a class of students, and in that class of students, everyone, like let's say these are 10 standard students, I'm taking a rough example. Everyone in that class is around that height of 5 feet 3 inches to 5 feet 10 inches. Okay, but there are now 4 or 5 guys who are 6 feet 5 inches, 6 feet 4 inches, 6 feet 3 inches and all. Okay, so they are extremely tall guys. Now what will happen, if I ask the average height of the class, you may end up telling like, average height of the class is 5'10", 5'11", right? 5 feet 11 inches. But is that really a fact? No, right? Because most of the people are on the lower side of that. They are around 5'5", 5'7". But because of these few guys, the average is getting pulled towards 5'11". So the point to remember over here is that mean gets affected by extreme values. Mean gets pulled towards them. Be it on the upper side or be it on the lower side, it will start getting pulled towards those extreme values. So that becomes a problem. Okay. So median at the same time doesn't get affected by extreme values. It still tends to remain to the center of the data. So whenever extreme values are there in your data, mean may not be a very good representative of your data set. Okay, so mean may not be a great representative if you have extreme values in your data set. Okay, so that's one important thing for you to remember. Mean gets affected by outliers, whereas median doesn't get easily affected by outliers. And one very important way to see, let's say you have million data points. Okay, how will you know whether there are outliers or not in that data? Just calculate the mean and calculate the median. If they both are close to each other, that means there are no extreme values. If they both are far away from each other, that means there are extreme values. Did you notice here in the previous example? See, mean was also 3 over here. Median was also 3. Because there were no extreme values. Right? But whereas median and mean, if they are moving away from each other, that is the answers are moving away from each other, that means there are extreme values present in your data set. Okay, so this is how you need to understand mean and median. Okay, you need to remember how mean and median behave and how you can use them to understand about that data. Okay, now coming to what is standard deviation and what is range. Okay, see, remember guys, mean and median tell you what is the center point of your data. Okay, let me ask you this. Let me give you an example and ask you. Okay, let's say there is one line and this is the center part of it. Okay, and now these are all the data points around this center point. Whereas this line has center point here and these are all the data points. What do you think about these two lines? Which one do you, I mean, what is your interpretation about this? Let's say if there is a data like this and this is the center of your data, center is the same, right? But the points are like this. What do you think you can interpret out of it? Second one is more accurate. Okay, that's good. Standard deviation is dispersed. Okay, distribution is different. Okay, the second one is more clustered in the center. Exactly. Okay, the spread is different. Yes, that word matters a lot. The spread is different. Okay, so what is important to see over here is also, the center is the same, but the spread is different. Okay, the spread is different. Means what, the center or the like mean and median can be the same, but the values could be deviating far away from each other. But that is determined by the deviations that you have. One very good example for us all to understand is, there's a batsman who is there. His average, like let's take one particular batsman and his average score is 55. Both, okay, let's say you have batsman 1 and batsman 2. Okay, average score is 55. But one of the batsmen, let's say batsman 1, right? He consistently hits between the range of 50 to 70. Okay, his center is 55, his average is 55. Let's say out of the 10 matches, he has consistently scored between 50 to 70. Whereas there is another batsman too, whose average is also 55, but he has been scoring somewhere between 10 to 90. What do we think about this player? Which player would you choose actually? Batsman 1 or batsman 2 would you prefer? Batsman 1. Okay, why do you think you want to choose batsman 1? Consistency. Correct? Batsman 1 is consistent. Okay, so that is the part we need to look at, right? So you have two batsmen, their averages are the same, but you notice how they are performing overall in the matches. They are not, batsman 2 is not remaining consistent. Once he is hitting 10 runs, once he is hitting 90 runs, once he is hitting 25 runs, once he is hitting 70 runs, he is not playing consistently. Whereas batsman 1, his average is 55 and his score lies between 50 to 70. He is consistently performing in that range. So this guy's deviation is less. That means he's more consistent. Whereas the second batsman, his center or the average is 55, looks very good, but he's not consistent. So the deviation is high. So this is batsman 2. This is batsman 1. Okay. Now, how do you know which batsman is consistent or which one is not? You can look at the standard deviation. If the standard deviation is high, that batsman is having lot of deviation. If the standard deviation is low, that means that batsman is having consistency. Okay. Yes. So these outlier data points, right, tend to pull your data away from the center and they create all these inconsistencies. Okay. But remember one thing also, okay. Outliers doesn't mean that they are bad. It is just that their characteristics are different. You need to treat them differently. Okay, that's the meaning of that. See, in that class of students where I told, there are people who are 6 feet 2 inches, 6 feet 4 inches, 6 feet 5 inches. Doesn't mean that they are something odd. I mean, it's not that they're bad students or anything, right? It is just that their height has been completely different growth compared to the other students. So what happens? You need to treat those separately and these separately. Okay, so that is what is important. Outliers need to be handled in a different way. They should not be merged with your bigger data set. Okay, so how do we calculate standard deviation is? It's a slightly complex thing, but let's not get into that. I'll just put the formula for you. Standard deviation is given as square root of 1 by n summation xi minus x bar the whole square. Okay, xi minus x bar the whole square. Okay, so this lower the value, better it is, higher the value, more deviation. Yeah, square root of variance actually, correct. Okay, so this is the formula for standard deviation. There is an actually easier version of this, which is called the range. Okay, which is called the range. So this range, right, is nothing but maximum minus minimum. Simple formula. So if someone asks you to tell how much deviation is there in your data, I think calculating a standard deviation may be slightly complex for us to do it in our mind, right? Because there is a formula which needs to be used and calculate and then you get the value. But whereas you have to come up with a quick answer of how much deviation is there in the data, you can make use of range. What is range? Range is nothing but maximum minus minimum. So like for example, that batsman 1, right? I told you he scored 10 and he scored 90, right? And the second batsman was he scored 50 and he scored 70, right? What will be be the range for batsman 2? It will be 80, right? Maximum minus minimum. And what will be the range for batsman 1? It will be 20, right? You see, this is one more quick way of calculating the deviation. It is not a very good way, but a quick way, because you are looking only at the extreme ends in the data when calculating the deviation. Okay, for looking at the deviation, you are not looking what is there in the middle. Okay, you're not looking at the other scores that are there. You're looking only at the minimum value and the maximum value. So you're not looking at all the other data points, but it is easy to calculate. Okay, so same way, if you look at standard deviation, what standard deviation is doing is it is looking at all the data points present in your data. Okay, it is looking at all the data points present in your data. So if I calculate standard deviation, right, I'm just doing a very simple one. Okay, so let's say if I'll take very simple numbers, okay, for easy purpose of calculation. Let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is x, and I have to calculate standard deviation. So if you see in the formula, what is there? Xi minus x bar. X bar is mean. So what is the mean of this? X bar is 3. Right? Now what I'm doing? Xi minus x bar. So what is xi minus x bar? This value minus the mean. Okay. So 1 minus 3 minus 2. 2 minus 3 minus 1. 0. 1. 2. Then what I'm doing here? I'm squaring it. Right. So now xi minus x bar the whole square. So when I do this, it is going to be 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. Now what I'm doing in that formula? I'm adding it up. Summation is there, right? I'm adding it up. So if I add this up now, what will happen? 4 plus 4, 8, 9, 10. So it is 10. Now if I calculate the standard deviation, okay, it is what? Square root of 10 divided by n, right? N is how much? 5. Okay, so it is square root of 2. Okay, square root of 2 would be something like 1 point some value, right? 1.58 or 1.414. Yeah, okay. Whatever value, 1.414. Okay, let's say 1.41. Standard deviation is 1.41. But did you notice something here? I had to perform such a big calculation to reach to this number. But now if I ask you, can you tell me what is the deviation in this data? If I had to calculate the range, right, it is much quicker, right? 5 minus 1, 4. But problem is what? I'm only looking at this one and this one, the extreme ends. I'm not bothered about what is there in the middle. So although I get a quick answer, it is not a very reliable answer. Actual answer is 1.41. Actually, it gives you much more better picture, right? But when you look at range, it looks like a little bigger value. But when you look at standard deviation, it looks like a little smaller value, because standard deviation is looking at all the values and then calculating it. Okay, so that is what is called your range. Easy way to calculate. Standard deviation is a little elaborate way of calculating, but it is much more reliable for you, standard deviation. Okay, guys, so I think this part, let me just quickly try to do this in Python for you. Okay, so while doing this in Python, right, we need a package called pandas. So in case you don't have it in your notebook, right, if you just say import pandas and all and it doesn't work, just do a pip install pandas, okay, and just run it. Forget about this hash. Okay, just run this. Okay, yeah, let me share it with all of you all here. Okay, let me share it here with everyone. Okay, I've sent it. And then what you need to do is you say import pandas as PD. Okay, now this part may look a little new for you, but I'll tell you what it is. So what we did till now was we just wrote like this, right? Import package or library name. We just told that much. But now what I'm doing is, instead of using this so big name called pandas, I'm giving one alias to it. I just say like a, you can say like a pet name for it. Okay, so I just say as PD, a short form for it. Instead of using the word pandas every time, I'm going to use the name called PD now instead of pandas. So what I say as PD. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read one data set which is there on my machine. Okay, so here, right, I have one data set called car seats. Okay, I have one data set called car seats. I'm going to read this data. It's a CSV file. Okay, it's a CSV file. I'm going to read this file. So how do we read that file? You can just say I'm creating one object called BD. Okay, you can give any name. If you ask me what is this BD, I also don't know. I just created the object name called BD. Doesn't matter. Okay.
Karthik, just a second. Sorry to bother you in between. I just wanted to let everybody know that the data set has been shared in the WhatsApp group for their convenience. So now you can proceed. Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So one thing I think to mention, right? This data is something I'm using for us for to see a demo, but the data set that I have shared, right? It's a slightly different data for you all to practice on that. Okay. So just try to use that data for your practice purpose. Okay. So here now, what I'm doing is I want to read that data set, right? See, this data set is sitting on my machine here. Python doesn't know that this data set exists. It is sitting on my machine, but Python doesn't know that. So what I should do is I should read that data inside Python. So what I do is for that I have this function called read underscore CSV. So you just say the package name. Again, I told you all right, there are many functions inside each package. Okay, I'm just loading that package. And now if you see here, see there are so many functions inside this package. Pandas. Okay. See, each library has n number of functions meant for specific purpose. The math library doesn't have CSV to read. It doesn't have any functions which can read your CSV files, Excel files. Okay. So for that you need the pandas package. So pandas pd dot read underscore CSV, and then you pass the dataset name. So the file name, if you see here, there is this file name called car seats, sorry, not sets, car seats. Okay, I'm passing that file name to it, and then I'm running it. Okay, now if you want to see this data, right, I can just say bd dot head. Okay, head is a function. What it will do is it will print the top 5 rows of your data. Okay, it will print the top 5 rows of your data. See, this is the data set. It has sales, competitor price, income, advertising, population, all related to a car seats sales of car seats. Okay, this is the data set. Okay, can you tell me from this data set how many numeric variables are there? How many numeric variables are there? Perfect, perfect. Okay, so there are 8 numeric variables. How many categorical variables are there in this? Done? Okay, now you all know to differentiate between numeric and categorical, right? Perfect. Okay, so here you notice all these variables where you see numbers, right? These are all numeric variables. Here also you have, right, numbers, numeric variables. Whereas here you see bad, good, medium, yes, no. These are categorical variables. So that's why shell block, urban, and US are all categorical variables. Okay, so that is the first thing you all need to know. Once you get a data set, which is numeric, which is categorical, you need to know to differentiate so that you can do things accordingly for that data set. I've given a description about each variable over here. Okay, so you may want to go through that also. So there is another thing called as shape. Okay, remember one thing here. There is no open and close bracket here. Don't get confused. Probably later point of stage you will get a little bit of more hang of it. But as of now, remember that shape doesn't have open and close bracket. It is an something called as an attribute. Okay, don't worry about that. Not required at this point to know much about that. So what does this shape attribute give us is it tells how many rows and columns are there in that data set. So this data set has 400 rows and 11 columns in the data. See, here I have just printed the first 5 rows of my data, but in reality there are 400 rows and there are 11 variables. So if you count these number of variables right on top, it will be 11. Okay. So this is what your data set looks like. Okay. Now, there is this function called describe. Okay, there is this function called describe. So when you run this function, right, see, I'm passing the data set over here. I'm just saying the data set name bd dot describe, and here I'm saying include equal to all. Okay, include equal to all. Don't worry what is that as of now. Just go with the value that I'm giving. Okay, include equal to all. This tells that consider all the variables and not only just numeric variables, categorical, numeric, both. Okay, both of them you show. Here it gives you a nice summary statistics of each variable. Okay, here you get a nice summary statistic of each variable. You can look at it and try to understand a lot of things from this. Okay, so here right now you see, first thing you can see how many records are there. There are 400 records in this. Okay, so 400 records are there in this data set, and you see the mean is 7.49. Okay, and standard deviation is 2.82. So you see here, you're getting an idea. Is 50% the median? Yes, correct. Don't worry, next session probably I'll cover more on this 25, 75% about these percentiles. But you can look at 50% as the median. Okay, so 50% is the median. Yeah, the quartiles, right? We'll try to do that. But right now, can you tell me any of the variables, looking at the values over here, do you think any of the variables have outliers in them? See, I have not shown you the data. I have not showed you what values are there in the data, but I'm asking you a question now. Do you think any variables have outliers in them? Competitor price. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Population. Okay. Population. Okay. 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 Yes. Okay. So see, if any variable has significantly different number, right, then there is an outlier. Like for example, some of you have mentioned about sales, right? You see 7.49 is the mean and median is also 7.49. So there's not a big difference. They both are very similar, right? Again, you take competitor price, it's very similar. 124.9, 125, very similar. So I'm just seeing which one has a significant difference like in it, you know. Doesn't look like anyone has a significant difference in their values. Yeah, population. Advertising. Yeah, see, advertising also, right? Again, 6.6 and 5 is not a big difference, right? It's still reasonable or not significant, I would say. I think population, not population, I think price. 264 is the mean and 272. Slight variation I'm seeing only in population. Otherwise, most of the variables don't have too much of outliers actually. Advertising also, right? Yeah, it's not much. Okay. But overall from this, I can understand that these variables don't have too many outliers in them. There's not much of variation in this. Okay. See, now just by looking at these numbers, I'm able to tell some kind of an insight about the data set. Okay. Yes, correct. Okay, all right, guys. So I think I had certain parts of it to be covered in today's session, but you know we had a lot of other discussions due to the the introduction of Python for the first time, right? So we'll take it up in the next session and continue from there. But in the meanwhile, what I would like you guys to do is go back, use the data set what I have given you all and what has been shared to you all, and try to calculate. I mean, also try to read up what is this 25%, what is this 75%, right? What I want you all to do is take this table and explain each of this what they mean. What are they telling about that variable? You need to understand. So I think the main parts are going to be this 25 and 75%. Others all seem to be very easy. Okay, so this is what your task is. Next session, I want you all to tell me what is this 25th percentile and 75th percentile, and along with that, you all will explain me 50th percentile also. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, just quickly, I think, before I wrap up, I see some question how to access the dataset on Jupyter Notebook. The read.csv code did not run. See, guys, wherever you have started your notebook, right, keep that CSV file in the same path. See, if this notebook is present in some particular path, keep that dataset in that same location. Okay, keep it in the same location. See, my notebook is over here, and this is the dataset over here. So they both should be present in the same data path. Okay, and let me share this notebook with y'all. Give me a minute. I'll just share this notebook also with y'all so that y'all can quickly, practice it. Just give me a second. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm just doing it. Okay, I don't think I'm able to share anything. So let me do one thing. I'll
Uh,
send it over to Tanuja,
but
and
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, I'll share it with you so that you can share it with the batch.
You can share it with me now.
Yeah, I'll share it with you now itself. Give me a second.
Yes, you can mail it to me, and then I will share it with the students.
Yeah, sure. I'm just sending it over. Okay, Tanuja, I sent it over to you.
Or just give me a minute. Yeah. So, meanwhile, maybe you can take up a few more questions that you might be seeing on your screen, and
Okay.
I will just download it and share
Yeah.
it with the others.
Okay. So, some of the questions I'm seeing are they are getting error while reading it. Oh my God. Okay, there's one big error over here. Unicode decode error. Uh, if it encoded. Okay. Okay. So I think some parts of the errors, right, may be very specific to your machine also. So it may be difficult for me to tell why it is happening exactly. But you can do one thing, just copy that error, right, and put it in Google so that you can see what are the suggestions given. Sometimes this is the reason why sometimes, VS Code has certain issues. When you're using that Visual Studio Code, right, it tends to give you some issues because of VS Code's kind of environment. Okay, so if you are still having issues, just check online, if what is that recommendation they are giving for fixing it. Okay, and if not, I think normal Anaconda you're using, ideally everything should work. Okay, some people want to know the steps for opening the notebook. Once again, quickly I will show you. Okay, so some of them have given this suggestion also. I'm putting it in the chat, especially people who are getting that Unicode error, right? Try out this one. Sometimes, the Unicode error goes off because of the encoding that you change. Okay. And also some of you all have asked about how to start, right? See guys, I'll just repeat. First step, install the notebook. Okay, go to Anaconda, sorry, not install notebook, install Anaconda. Install Anaconda, download for whatever OS, okay, Windows, Mac, Linux, download it, install it. Once it is done, it is a pretty heavy file, okay, it's a pretty big file, so it may take some time for installation. Once it is done, okay, then you search for Anaconda over here, okay, type Anaconda and hit enter. Okay, now what you need to do is See, go to the folder where you want to start your project, okay, or where you want to start doing things. You want to keep your files, everything in that place, right? Go to that folder. What you do is go back to this folder over here, copy the path from here, right? You can copy the path and paste it over here. Take for example cd d colon slash csr box. I say this. Okay, don't forget to put this cd over here in front. Cd stands for change directory. Okay, so put this in front, and then what you need to do is again just put d colon. Okay, just like this, d colon. In my case, I've used d colon because my path is d colon. In yours, if it is f colon, g colon, h colon, whatever, use that drive. Okay, and pass that. And once you do that, you will reach to that path. So it will start showing you the path you've given over here. What you gave over here, it should appear over here. And then remember the word that I'm using here, Jupyter, Jupyter hyphen NOTBOK. You need to type this and then hit enter. Automatically it will open up a browser page and your notebook will appear over there. Okay, and after that you know the process, right? Just click on the right, top right, new Python kernel. It will start your notebook for that. Android phone. Okay, I don't know. I've never tried on Android phone as such. Uh, because development work on phone is difficult, so most likely it's always on laptop. I've frankly never tried it. Okay, so for data analysis, which libraries should be learned? Generally, Pandas is a very good starting point. And there is NumPy also. Both of these are pretty good for you to start learning. Okay, once again to repeat the kind of tasks that you'll need to do, right? See, I'm writing it down over here for you all. Okay, task. Okay, first one, read the data inside Python, cars.csv. Okay, second step is how many print how many rows and columns are there in the data. Okay, in the data. Third one is summarize, or let's say analyze the data with summary statistics like mean, median, standard deviation. Fourth one is write interpretation of 25th percentile, 75th percentile. I want you all to write the interpretation of this two numbers. I know I have not covered it, but I would like you all to try to read a little bit and do this. Okay. So these are the tasks. I'm putting it in the chat so that you have it handy when you're trying to. Oh, okay. 1 minute, guys. Okay. I've sent it. So these are the tasks you may want to try. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Great. So I'll stop over here. Tanuja, I think all yours now. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that very, I would say, technical session, because I do not have that background. Yeah. So I hope the students and the participants were able to, grasp a lot of it. And we were seeing a lot of queries regarding how to go about the data set. And so I think all of those queries were answered. And your masterclass seconds assignment has been posted on the chat. We have shared the same in your WhatsApp group. So the data set that has been shared with you in your WhatsApp groups, you will be using that for the data analysis. ओके सो मैं एक बार हिंदी में भी बता देती हूँ. जो डेटा सेट आपके साथ शेयर किया गया है व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में, आप लोग उसी को यूज करके डेटा एनालिसिस करेंगे, जो कि टास्क यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है. So before we close this session, I would like to remind you guys that please do not forget to fill your attendance form. The link has been shared in your WhatsApp groups. Also, there is a learning plan submission link please submit your learning plan completion certificate there, and also start working on the assignment 1 and assignment 2. So for assignment 1 and the learning plan, we will be closing the submission link by tonight. So kindly please submit all your deliverables, especially the learning plan and the first assignment by tonight. I hope you all were excited and you all enjoyed the session. And we'll have the next masterclass on 3rd January. So we'll be seeing each other then. And meanwhile, if you have any queries, you can ask. We will close by 6:10. We still have 2 minutes. If you would like to ask something, you can ask it here. And when you send us some queries, please be patient. We will be responding back to you in a day or two. So, yes, that's about it. And thank you for being a wonderful audience. We will stay back for 2 minutes. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask your mentor, Mr. Karthik, please feel free. So your assignment 1 was installing the Anaconda software. Please correct me, Karthik, if I am wrong. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, Anaconda software, but there were some of them who have some prior experience with other softwares. So I told them that's totally fine for them to read. But otherwise, Anaconda installation was their first task.
Okay, okay. So regarding your submission links, don't worry, everything will be posted in your WhatsApp groups. So please uh, keep an eye on your WhatsApp groups. Do not archive it or mute it. Otherwise, you would miss the notifications. Yes. Okay, so I think we can close it for now. And in case of any queries, please do reach out. And if you have missed this session or the previous sessions, we have already provided you with YouTube recordings. The links are on your WhatsApp groups. So आप लोग वहां से देख सकते हैं if you've missed any of the sessions, Masterclass 1 and the orientation session. So that's about it. Please don't forget to submit your attendance form. And we'll close it now. Thank you so much, Karthik. I think you were very patient with all the queries and with all the questions that kept coming in. And thank you for a wonderful session. We look forward to another session. And yes, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Bye.
thank you for joining in. Bye bye. Also, have a happy new year and celebrate, yeah, while you also complete your assignments. Thank you so much. Bye bye.